I've looked up the word freedom, and it means the power or the right to act, speak, or think as one wants to. So I want you to think about that for you. Do you feel like in your life you are acting, speaking, thinking the way that you want to? Do you feel like you have the power to do that? Do you feel like you have the right to do that? We'll come back to these definitions. The other thing it says about freedom, the state of not being imprisoned or enslaved. I found that really interesting. The state of not being imprisoned or enslaved, the power of self-determination attributed to our will. So us deciding what we want and what we don't want and being free to live that. Do you know, we all have this life in us. You have a spirit of life in you that is absolutely free in the essence of what it is. And if we were to describe it, if we were to give it a personality, it would be love and joy. Those are the two things that are the essence of all of us, the life in us. And that life is looking for expression. It's interesting, and I want you to make a note of this. Our freedom is not dependent on other people's opinions. What we are in control of and free to do is to either take that on board or not. You know what changed for me when I started living freely, which is what I do now, and my goodness, the contrast for me, how I live now and how I used to live, is enormous, and it shows up in my health. I was someone that always had something going on internally as a result of living so unfree, and it was all in the way I was thinking. I was thinking about people's judgment of me, and I was letting my imagined pictures and conversations of what they were having, I was letting that influence the way I was thinking. Okay. I am free because I'm not concerned about changing what other people think. I'm concerned about changing what I think. Like that first description said, freedom is the power or right to act and speak and think as I want to. And so straight off the bat, my focus to be free, and there's a good word, and I know one of you has said that's a thing that you're challenged with at the moment, is focus. My focus to be free must be on me. And it's interesting that it's all women have signed up for this training, and that's no mistake, because a lot of women, particularly, I find, struggle to focus on themselves. We're out there focusing on everyone else and how we can help them and fix this and change that. And meanwhile, we are very out of touch with ourselves. And I can tell you that is the single biggest difference in the way I live now, is that I love me. There was a day when I could not look in the mirror and say that to myself. But as soon as I started to understand who I was, as in I'm a human being with a spirit of life in me looking for expression, and it's my responsibility, mine, to express that, allow that expression. And that's really what freedom is. And so we're going to go through that over the next 3 days. The state of not being imprisoned. When we concern ourselves with what others think about us, we're actually building the prison around ourselves. Okay? By the way we allow ourselves to think about what they might be thinking. Now, let's take it back a notch. You've looked at what freedom means for you. When you discover the powerful you that you are, you will be more captured by that than anything else. I can tell you that. And your responsibility becomes almost, it's a pleasure for me to think, wow, this is the desire of my heart. And this is what I'm focused on, because I understand it is my responsibility. No one else can express the life that's in me in the way that I will. And it's the same for you. And so the very first task we have today is to say goodbye to living up to others' expectations. And you might right now have somebody, they might be a colleague, they might be a sibling, a parent, a friend, somebody in your world that you think, I'm actually dictated by my own thinking by this person in my life. I'm living up to their expectation of me. I was asked many years ago when I first started this work, whose approval am I living for? Whose approval? And I knew whose it was. And I remember looking at the coach and saying, oh, no, nobody's. Oh, my goodness, makes me laugh. He knew exactly that that's not what was going on. So I want to ask you that question. Whose approval are you living for? Whose expectations do you want to say goodbye to? And it's almost like you draw a line down your page and there's you on one side with the fullness of the life in you. And this is coming to you, this power of life comes to you like a stream constantly, looking for expression. We're going to talk about that more in depth. When you shape that life, that power, who are you considering? Are you editing it, the desires of your heart, to suit somebody else? For me now, it's an old me that sometimes gets considered. And I want us to really clean that up, that space. This life is flowing to and through you. Who are you now putting outside the consideration? Now, for me, there was a partner involved. There was a life partner involved, which was really tricky because I didn't want things to shift. Now, I will tell you that marriage ended not because I ended it, but because I started showing up as me and speaking up. And so one thing led to another. And I believe that started the ball rolling. However, if I didn't do that, I was having panic attacks. I'd lost 10 kilo. I could see that I was not going to be around for long. And that had been 23 years in the making, that decision. And for me at that time, it meant I just had to speak up and tell the truth. So what is your freedom? What does it look like? You might just have a word, and I want you to write it down. You can hear things and think, oh yeah, I know something's coming up for me. And you think you'll remember. I've had moments like that where I think I won't ever forget. This is so profound for me. And then it's gone like a slippery fish. It's just gone. So I want you to make some notes that will mean something to you. I want you to think about what you look like in this freedom. For me, I remember the change was just exhaling. I felt like I'd been holding my breath for probably for 48 years. What did I look like living in my freedom? And while you've got your pen in your hand, I want you to write down, as if you're about to step over the threshold from being imprisoned or enslaved or feeling boxed in. You're about to step into your freedom. What is coming with you? And what are you going to put down before you step over that threshold? Now, it's interesting, and I don't know what you're all thinking about, but for me, when I stepped into my freedom, I didn't think, well, I've got to end my marriage and, blah, blah, blah. I didn't do any of that. I just knew I had to speak up. I had a voice going on in my head for quite some time saying to me, how long are you going to live like this? And I pushed that voice away and I kept very busy, incredibly busy. every minute of every day. From the minute my feet touched the ground till I fell asleep on the pillow like that at night, I was busy because I couldn't deal with the answer to the question. So whatever it is for you that you've come on this training for, and I want you to know what that is, whether it's you just want to have focus for what you feel is you and what you want to be putting your energy and focus into, whether it's, I know that my current circumstances are not what I want, and I know I'm letting them be my focus, and I really want my focus to be on what lights me up. Let yourself know that. Be very defined about this. For some of you, it's that, you've got results going up and down. It's good, then it's not good. It's good, and then it's not good. What does freedom look like when that is not happening? And if you know anything of the work I do, this is not about solving the problem. And in fact, yes, we'll say, this is not what I want. And now what do I want? Everything is energy. Everything is about vibration in this vibrational world, this energetic world. And you are a part of your world. And so while we stay very conscious of the problem, we are not going to be on the frequency or the vibration of the solution. So whilst we are aware of the problem, that's stepping over the line and saying, I am taking a step today to say, I am no longer that, I am this. Even though you're not free yet, I wasn't free when I made the decision to speak up, but that was me stepping over the line and there was no return. And it started some events. It's everything you say and do is a cause, and there will be an effect. So today you're choosing freedom. And that's why I'm asking you, what does it look like? What does it feel like? Who are you in that? Because as you focus on that, all the other events, if I had time, I'd tell you how my events rolled out. Was I afraid? Yes, because I was moving into unknown territory. But did I feel free? Yes. Yes. And everything fell into place and continues to fall into place as I follow my freedom code. Like, what's freedom for me? And that's a moment by moment decision. And it's following that intuition that we have. You've got that inner voice. Listen to it and trust it. When I was sitting there thinking, I just need to speak some words, and then I wrote the story of, oh, this is what's going to happen if I do that. That's what keeps us in prison. We think we know things that we actually don't. You don't know what people are thinking. I didn't know how it was going to roll out. All you do know, and all that you can depend on, is what you desire. What do you want? I wanted to speak up. I knew I had to speak up for my own survival. That's how it felt. And then things started to roll. And every step of the way, I asked myself, what do I want? What do I want it to look like? If you've got results going up and down, what would you like it to look like that would mean freedom for you? So right here, right now, what feels good for you, as in, it evokes joy and love. I feel at peace in my heart. When I revealed my true self to me, like admitted it and said, you know what, this is the truth. That's when everything else fell away. All the props, all the facades that I had in place, they all fell away as I stepped forward and said, actually, this is me. We must have courage. And courage means listen to your heart. No one else knows your heart. And if you will act in line with your heart, you can't go wrong. Everything has fallen into place in me speaking up and the many events that took place. And it's interesting because I was fluffing about around the edges of self-development and doing all the do, like coming on trainings and not listening to recordings, not doing the work. And it was just bits and pieces, sort of made me feel a bit better, like going, buying a gym membership and going to the gym and then having coffee at the gym, not gymming, not gym training. And I was expecting results from that. And I was thinking, oh, this stuff doesn't work for me. I was thinking this does not work for me. I was doing little bits. I wasn't really decided that I wanted the change. And so I want to say that to you first and foremost, it takes courage to show up as ourselves, especially when we've been conditioned by our upbringing and those around us that didn't know any better. We've been conditioned to live a certain way. And if it's not working for us, not feeling like it's you, it's time to step forward as you. I went to see my little granddaughter recently. She's just turned 1. And the freedom in that little being really hit me. The freedom of the joy and the love, that state she is in 99% of the time. She gets annoyed or hurt or disappointed and it lasts this long and then they're back. Almost like she doesn't know how else to be yet. But we have learnt a way to be. And unless we make the decision, I remember making the decision and saying, enough is enough. I'm deciding, because how long do we have? I lost a husband, he was 32. That's always been right here for me. It's like, I don't know how long I have. Am I going to give any more of my life away to anyone else? It's my life. It's your life. It's in you, looking for expression. No one can express it but you. So the small little bits I was doing I was really playing a bit of a game. So I want you to get serious about your freedom, because it's not hard to find, but you have to be serious about who are you in that. I looked like someone who could look someone in the eye and tell them my truth. And I was not that when I took that first step up until that time. So I made the decision, a commitment to myself, not to anyone else. So rather than playing with the ideas, look at what life is presenting to you. I was surrounded by opportunities to speak up. And you know how those opportunities came presented, often wrapped up in circumstances that I didn't like. And when I look at it, it's almost like a comedy show now that I look at it, because there were little opportunities where it was a little uncomfortable and I had the opportunity. Then it was a little more uncomfortable. Then it was almost like a truck backed over me. And it's like, okay, I'm getting the message. It's time. Please don't wait for the truck. If you're uncomfortable with any area of your life, and a lot of you are doing the work and you know the work, but now there's a deeper commitment to be made to you. Who are you in living your freedom? It's time for you to show up as your free self. Like it says here, the power of self-determination attributed to the will. Only you can decide, I'm going to be more focused on this. Now, don't pick a million things, even 10 things, even 5 things to be focused on. If focus is your freedom thing, it's like, I just want to be more focused. Practice it. There was a day when I wasn't a runner and I decided I wanted to be a runner. So what did I do? I didn't read books on it. I didn't watch YouTube videos. I ran. I set my alarm at 5 in the morning and I got up and I ran. If you want to be more focused, for example, and that's going to lead to being more you, practice your focus. Choose something small. I ran around the block and fell over on the lawn exhausted. It's like, oh, I'm clearly not a runner at that stage. But I got out and I made a commitment to myself. If we don't change anything, nothing changes. If I hadn't done that on that day and then kept doing it, I wouldn't have become a runner. And so again, your freedom is in you. You have desires of your heart. freedom is the heart of your authentic life. It's your heart's desire. You know, like, you know, this is you, even if it's not you yet. I so wasn't a runner then, but I wanted to be. And it's funny how it came to me. Your desires will come to you in many ways. I'd been watching a movie, of all things, and there was a woman running on the beach, just running along the beach, and her hair was, you know, and I just, oh, that was so free. I want to do that. So the next weekend, I said to my husband, I'm going to the beach to go for a run. Everyone's like, what? And I went down to the beach and I ran for, goodness, probably 20 steps. And I thought I couldn't breathe. It was just hard. It wasn't at all like it looked on the movie. And I came home really despondent. But that's where it started for me. It's like, I really want to have it be easier. That's what freedom is. It's easier. So if you're up and down with results, for example, how can that be easier? How can the ups and the downs become less and it starts to even out? Now, it won't be like that from the first step over the line into freedom. When I spoke up for the first time, when I ran for the first time, it felt extremely uncomfortable because I was doing something different. But what kept me going was I had a desire to be better at that. And that's what this freedom is. We're not imprisoned. We have the power to act or speak or think as we want. We have to stop looking outside of ourselves and blaming other people, blaming our circumstances. Every single change is going to happen because we decide. And like I said, if you're deciding in line with your heart, then you cannot lose, because that is the very essence of who you are. It's a love, it's joy, it's just looking to be expressed in the way that you feel to be expressed. There may be some opposition from other people who've been used to having you be the yes person and to do things the way they suggest. But like I say, practice checking into your heart. I kept saying yes to other people, so much so that I didn't actually recognize my own voice, my own yes and my own no, because I shoved it so far down and practiced listening into their yes, their request. And so, like I said, practice. Even as soon as you get off this call, there might be something that you have become aware of. You think, I'm doing this, or I'm saying that, or I'm thinking this, and it's not me. It's not the true me. It doesn't make me feel in a state of peace and joy and love. So what would that be? It might be the smallest thing. The world has a way of conspiring on our behalf. When you make a decision, a commitment to you, you will have opportunity to practice it. So get ready. It's very exciting. It opens up the pathway. And when we keep up with the opening up, we feel good. When we don't keep up with the more that's opening up for us, we don't feel so good, because it's narrower. Like, you're being opened up to the freedom of who you are. And so here's a few exercises, just some things to ponder. And it is, what am I noticing? Because the first, there is a process to living a life that we love. And the first thing is awareness. Being aware, like, what are you aware of? So I've given you a few guidelines here. What are some of the things you like and then you don't like? It might be that you know what you don't like in any area, and you go, well, if I don't like that, I probably like this. So I want you to become aware of the things, I noticed I like that, or I noticed I didn't like that, and then put the opposite down, because this is going to start to shape you. It's going to start to define you. I like that. Another way of looking at it, something I want and something I don't want. I don't really want that. When I started my business, I had a client every once in a blue moon come on board, and I'm like, I don't really want that. I want consistency. So straight away, when you do these questions, your mind will want to work out how that will happen. I just want you might want to jot it down quickly and put it in a jar, put the top on the jar and say, take a number, not dealing with you today. We're just talking about what I'm noticing. I'm not figuring anything out. So things I want, things I don't want. Here's one. What would I love to do or to have or to be? And what am I scared to have or to do or to be? You know, it dawned on me, and it's probably still for me and emerging more. I was scared to earn lots of money. That's a paradigm, a conditioning that I grew up with, you know, money's evil, all of that. And it's changing for me. It's changed a great deal already. But for you, what would you love to do? What are you scared to do or have or be? Be honest with you. Just a couple more to sort of help you really notice what you're noticing. What lights you up? This could be anything. Like I watched a beautiful movie the other night and I just thought, oh, that light me up. And I could see the elements of that lit me up. It might be something that you're wanting to step into and you're like, yeah, that lights me up. The thought of that might be nature, people, animals. Just be aware what lights you up when you think about it, when you start to imagine it, what lights you up. And what are the things that drain the life out of you? The things that you have to remind yourself to do, like I should do this. Become aware of your shoulds. And this is sort of in the same. They're all a little bit the same, but just might help you from a different angle. What are the things I just want to run towards? I just want to run towards. And again, I've got grandchildren and they're just such good examples of this. They get so excited and they don't hold back. You know, they're just so full of life and desire and curiosity and expression. So there are things in your imagined world, like you think, oh, I just want to run towards that. And then there might be the words, I can't, because I want you to be aware of what they are. What are your roadblocks? Why can't you run towards this? The life in you is always looking for the freedom, but the life in you is not forceful. It will happen when you're ready for it to happen.